Hello everyone. So today we are for the GW here. We're going to present a company, SwissBorg, when we're going to talk about DeFi and cryptocurrency. So I will leave the place to Marco and Fanny, who will present us SwissBorg.
Thanks for the introduction.
Thank you.
Fanny.
Hello. So my name is Fanny. I hope you can hear me. I am product manager at SwissBorg, and I am here to present this company. And what we're doing is that we have this mobile application that wants to bring wealth management to the world. So it's very simple. We want you, your mom, your grandma, your dad, everyone to be able to pick up a phone and be able to buy cryptocurrency. And if you have ever tried, trust me, it's not easy. So we want someone that knows nothing about gas fee and all the complexity of cryptocurrency would be able to do that. So how do we do it? Is that we have this very simple application. You just deposit your fiat, so euro, CHF, anything, and then you can see the list of cryptocurrency we support, and you just say how much you want to buy, and that's it. In one click, you own cryptocurrency. So we want it to be very simple, but we still want it to be efficient and to give you the best price. So what we do is that we are connected to a lot of exchanges, and we check the price on each exchange, and we just give you the best one. So it's very simple, but it's also very efficient. And on top of this, remember I said we wanted to bring wealth management to the world. So you can consider that buying cryptocurrency is already doing wealth management, but we want to go just one step further. So we introduced this yield program, and it's basically the goal is that you can buy cryptocurrency and you can lock it, and then every day you will just have a little more cryptocurrency. And how much more? Basically, it depends on which coin, but at the moment, for example, if you buy BNB, which is Binance coin, you can have 25%. What it means is that if you invest 20,000 today, in 1 year you will have 25,000. So it just makes it very easy for everyone that knows basically nothing about technology to be able to do something that they trust and buy a coin and invest in. And how do we do it? We use decentralized finance. And I think that's what Marco is going to talk to you about right now.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Fanny. So yeah, guys, let's start our first deep dive. I'll try to be as short as possible into DeFi, because otherwise we're going to speak for 2 hours. So what is DeFi? Well, DeFi, first of all, means decentralized finance. So it's a different concept than centralized finance, which is the traditional finance that we know as today. And this first concept is really difficult to grasp. And the easiest way for me to explain it is that taking an example from technology. So today, centralized finance relies on gateways, relies on many middlemen and actors that comes between the user and the service. If any one of you has any idea how today to build any technological solid system, now the best approach you can have is a distributed or decentralized system. This is because technology allows you to do that. And that's where, in the DeFi, technology comes in. Technology is at the base of DeFi. It helps transition from a centralized framework into a decentralized framework. So distributing the responsibility, distributing the service. In this way, a good way to define what is DeFi is that starting by understanding there are three main three main categories. First of all, the 5 protocols, which tells you basically how to do things, how to break down all those barriers that exist in centralized finance and bring the service directly to the users. Then there are the services, which are more the implementation, so the how you do it. And then the users itself, because the users are in DeFi are taking a much more active role in the whole ecosystem. So it's a very different, I would say, not just financial system, is a different philosophy, is a different approach to finance completely. And it's very user-centric in this way. One of the most important things that exists in DeFi is the smart contract. Because smart contract is where basically once smart contract has been created, it makes possible DeFi. A smart contract, and the name is very self-explanatory. The smart contract is basically a normal contract. You know, the contract that a lawyer writes, and it's full of words that nobody understands. And it's usually 25 pages, and the most cryptic one is the one written in small characters. Well, basically, what happened is that with technology, we try to translate that lawyer language into a service. So through programming language, this is how it works. But a smart contract can be absolutely anything. Like it can be, it's used for example, for farming, so staking, yielding, but it has been used, and it is used, for example, in NFT, for those of you who knows what an NFT is. But the best example I can give, and maybe the one that resonates the most, is when you're buying a house. Like when you buy a house, you sign a contract. And is it possible to do it via a smart contract? Yes, of course. But how do you do it? How can I trust that this is going to work? Well, this is the whole concept of DeFi. So you have the blockchain itself, which is the way the regulator, not really the regulator, but it is where the trust is built. Because a blockchain is a ledger, so it's a book. When you write what has happening, so what has happened. Somebody has sold something to someone else. Somebody has moved money from here to there. And once it's written, it's immutable. Nobody can change it. And this allows to create something more, to build on top of that. So we start with a blockchain, then you have ledgers, and then you have custodian, because then you need, okay, I need to put my money somewhere to buy this house. And then, okay, who is going to tell me how the house look like? Like, who is going to tell me exactly what the specification of the house in the smart contract itself? But what I receive, well, usually when you buy a house, you receive, like the contract is signed, and then you receive the papers, you receive, kind of a receipt. That's nice. Well, this is what you receive in DeFi. You receive a token, which in many different ways, it can be seen as a receipt, not different from that. So we are trying with a smart contract to replace and automatize a whole lot of middlemen and gateways and service providers that today exist and that take a fee out of it. Because like your bank, when it gives you the loan for the house, that doesn't do that for free. Also, like the person who is bringing the house to you is not doing that for free. So everything has a price. By automating everything and reading this inside a contract in programming language, it becomes much more transparent. It becomes standardized for everyone. There is no special price or special setup that you can do for one contract instead of another once the smart contract is made. And a smart contract is what it is also like is most powerful feature is that it's basically playing like Lego. You can build multiple you can put a smart contract on top of the other. So it's composable. So at the end, the service, it can be split into microservices. So a smart contract can do something like just transaction for money. One is, I'm only taking care of describing the house. And somebody else can say, well, I only taking care of the mortgage. And once you put all of that together, you have the final service. This is why the next slide, I think it's going to be a bit more complex and scary at the beginning. But basically, it explains what the breakdown of this big idea, how can be aggregated in different subjects and different responsibilities. So we have somewhere we have to start, and we start with the fiat money, or like which is the normal money that you all have, or with cryptocurrencies. And then, okay, like where do they put this? Okay, they have a wallet. I need a wallet. I need somewhere to put this money in a safe way, because I don't want to lose this money. And I want to replace the trust that exists in banks somewhere. And the way to do it is by using wallets and blockchain. Blockchain give me the trust that this will not go away, that this transaction do not disappear somehow, and that once it's made, it's done. And the wallet, instead, it will basically help me having privacy. This is my money, and I don't want anybody else knowing that this is my money. When you deposit your money in the bank, it's like you don't tell your friends how much money you have in your bank, but this is there. The bank knows, sometimes. Then you need, okay, then once you have built a way to store value, it's like, okay, but how can I access the service itself? Well, first of all, since it's decentralized, okay, you do not have one entity that is going to tell you, oh, it's going to be costing like this, or you have to take money here. You just go with whatever application you want. You want to exchange your cryptocurrency from one token to another. You have multiple options. You have decentralized exchange. You have centralized exchange. You have you can do swap tokens directly on a smart contract. And there are many different types of service. We have insurance now that covers the risks, that covers protocol itself. And then the extra layer on top of that is when you build finance. And because when we call finance, usually we're talking about, like investing and making money out of it. But that's basically one extra layer that is on top of everything, right? So there you have things that in crypto is like, oh, I'm going DeFi and I'm farming and I'm yielding and I'm making passive income. This does not come for free, and it does not come simply like as the first thing that you can have. It takes time to reach that stage. And that's why, like in this slide, we're trying to explain that there's a lot of layers to reach that level. And now this is a very broad and high-level overview of it, but if we go into an example, this is how it look in, well, not today. This is kind of some time ago, I would say 2-3 months. But this is how it looked like today in, let's say, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Polkadot. There's no Solana yet here. There is no Matic, so Polygon yet. But this is the whole stack of application that exists on one single or 2-3 blockchains. The first one that were developed, so Ethereum was the first one where DeFi was built. So it's very scary at the beginning. There's 200 things, but every single box represents a service and a responsibility that exists in the financial world as of today. So yeah, I think that's okay for now. Like, try not to scare too much.
No problem.
If you didn't understand so much, that's okay. There is a SwissBorg, and it makes it very simple. You don't need to understand it to be able to still use it.
So yeah, as you mentioned, DeFi is very, very modular. Is a part of a bigger system. And as a whole, we see it as the future. Some of us will say it's more of an imagination. How would you be in this perspective? How would you try to convince the others saying it is the future and it's not just an imagination or the trend right now?
I think sometimes, like, It's easier to say it, but actually makes sense given that it has been proven at this moment. Like we reach, as a global, crypto has reached a 3 trillion market cap, and DeFi has exploded. But I would say just go look what happened in the history. You know, when first cars were built, people that were riding horses, they were not all like, okay, we switch with to cars. Or when the basically internet came along. Like people, most of you here are already born in the internet era, so for you it's a given. For those of us who were a bit more age, older than this, basically there was a transition, and at the time, nobody believed in this new innovation. It's the cycle of innovation. First adopters are not, like, it's very few people who understand at the beginning how things works and go a little bit deeper and try to see if there is a real innovation coming in or not. Now, for what I can say, like from my point of view, for example, and this is where the innovation, aside the fact that there is a transition, clear transition that has happened in the banking system, in the financial system, since the 80s, everything became, the trading system became electronic. So we switched from, I don't know if you have ever seen the movies where like people at the stock exchange were yelling at each other, trying to buy stuff, right? Yeah, okay, then we transition into, okay, everything is now, it's digitalized, right? Fine, that's first step. Second step was, yeah, now the banks need to do like, to automatize everything between themselves. And so we start to build way to communicate between banks. And so if you want to send money somewhere else in the world, it doesn't take like a month, it doesn't take much, you just go to the bank, you set the IBAN, and that's it, works. Then the electronic payment came in, which is another thing that happens. So for me, like crypto is just the evolution of finance. Like technology reach a level where it's just the next step.
And like, if I can just add something, that there is people, when they don't understand what is crypto, often say like, you think it's worth nothing because you don't understand it, but actually, even like euro, if I give you a note of euro, it's just paper. It's nothing. It's only worth because you think it's worth. And because a lot of people think it's worth something. It's almost religion. It's like, if tomorrow everyone starts thinking, okay, Bitcoin is now the currency and this piece of paper is worth nothing, well, congratulations. All your piece of paper that you have under your mattress, they are worthless. And you can think, I prefer to keep my euro because I know it's worth something, but it only worth because a lot of people trust it. And if we manage to convince enough people that Bitcoin is the new currency and that euro is just old school thing, then your euro could tomorrow worth nothing. It's just a question of trust and belief. And if we manage to like build this new world where the way of working is much better and just work better, then there can be a change of belief and change of value as well.
Yeah, that's a very, very important point. I don't remember necessarily the year, but when Nixon decided to change, you know, it's not anymore tied to the gold reserve.
Yeah, make it fiat.
Yeah, dollar at that moment was based on trust, and it is based on trust today.
Trust the government has with the people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, well, on another team, I also noticed that SwissBorg has a coin on the market. Could you explain it a bit?
Yeah. So the thing about SwissBorg is that it's very important for us that we are community-centric. So of course we try to give financial interest to own the coin. So we give you like more yield. So if you yield, you just get more of it and less exchange fees. But we really want to give our community power. So we also do referendum. So if you own a lot of CHSB, you have a voice on what we will do and what we create. And we also do, we have protect and burst system. So it means that we are protecting the coin itself. So if you own it, you're more secure, because if it drops, we will burn some so that it keep its value. And also we have our own CHSB yield, so a yield that is based on our own coin, and it's based on something called community index that we have created. And it's basically the more we have people interacted with our community, etc., the more yield we give. So we want to make sure that our community is rewarded for helping us grow, and then we grow together and as a community.
That's impressive. Okay. Well, yeah, now going in expansion, we were talking about the future of DeFi. Maybe one of the examples that's important, one of the trends that we have right now is the environment. We have had a lot of talk of how Bitcoin and Ethereum is wasting the environment resources. What can you say? Can you say that it will digress, it will decrease, or is something that's expected?
Well, I think it's this movement already started for the digression. So actually, it's more like a transition. Again, technology comes in and help. And how this is realized in real world is that Ethereum is transitioning from proof of work to proof of stake. What that means, because it's nice words, but okay. Well, in a proof of work, basically, you need big machines to solve algorithmic complexity. So there is basically a challenge that your computer needs to solve in order to validate a block. Now, the more block, the algorithm is made in a way that more blocks are being released, the more complex it is to do it. So it takes more energy for the hardware to do it. Like proof of stake is a completely different concept. It doesn't rely on algorithmic complexity. It relies on consensus validation. And this, basically, this new concept is not energy-based. So it does not consume as much, actually consume much less, because it's basically reduced like 90%, something like this, of the energy consumption, and because it's based on the amount of tokens that are used in the validations itself, as well as, of course, like the whole full stack of software and hardware that is required, but much less. And then there are actually movements, like communities of developers and people in DeFi that are trying to build new systems that are even more efficient for energetic-wise. So, given the fact that everything is not built on paper, but is built on technology, sometimes it's much easier to solve issue because the dynamic is much faster to solve it. You don't have barriers of people that needs to do it. It's just to have creative expression that goes there and say, okay, let's find what's the solution.
It does have a lot of trust, for sure. The trust in the system and not more in a centralized government.
For that, like, it's fun because we just have, like, time-wise, it makes sense. We just have the COP26 happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you should expect that governments should solve this issue, like global environment and everything. Yeah, but governments have their own, I would say, set of rules. While when you're based on technology, innovation, and you are free to express. And by the way, like, everyone in DeFi, in cryptos, doesn't matter where you're born, doesn't matter where you were located, well, unless your government restricts you to do that, but you can be part of the community that solve the problems, because that's one of the biggest issues that younger generation has. Like, my voice is not heard. I cannot do anything to solve it. Like, if you want to solve Bitcoin energy issue, the code is available for everybody. Propose a new algorithm, propose a new white paper, and if it works, done. That's the difference.
Wow, it's very progressive. It's incredible. Now, going back to Bitcoin, as we are seeing, it's a huge trend that's growing more and more. What could you say? What is the limitations? What are the things that doesn't let us continue moving forward?
Specifically for Bitcoin
Or for every cryptocurrency in general, because it's not adopted internationally yet. We have some countries that do, but not yet. Why? What is the roadblock?
So I think that to make it simple, the biggest issue is what people like Fanny face every day. It's like it's easy to talk, it's easy to do it, but once you see exactly the complexity, okay, and this is our mission as SwissBorg, is to bring it simple to you, to make it simple for you, bring it closest to your finger on your phone. Now that it doesn't come, for free. Like there is a lot of work that you need to do in order to bring that level to everyone. So from my perspective, like what's today is the adoption, okay? And to have massive adoption, okay, you need to be able to create standards in the industry itself. Again, I go back to the internet era. At the beginning, like connecting to internet, it's like, I don't know if you guys remember, that was the modem that you need to click, and you cannot do any phone call while you are on internet. So it was a mess, like, honestly. Today is like you expect to have Wi-Fi everywhere. That's how simple it is, right? Yeah, it took 20 years to reach that level. Same things right now, like this is the next stage. If you want mass adoption, to have mass adoption, you need to simplify the whole stack. It needs to be simple, standards need to be put in place. So that standards means this is how you do this, and there is a service that is able to solve this.
Also, we have a lot of problem with regulations because, of course, the government cannot really stop this because that would be counterproductive, but also doesn't mean that they just let us do whatever we want. Like they come and they say, okay, here you have too much freedom, here's some new law, now you have to respect. And us as company and just the cryptocurrency world in general is like every day we can wake up and, okay, now we have to follow this new rule. And it's really slowing us down in our growth because each time we have to understand, okay, what is this new rule, how can we follow this without completely ruining our business, and it's slowing us down a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it is against the idea of what a government stands for.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it makes sense. All right, on the other topic, so we've seen developments on many domains, sports, consumer, you showed legacy also, and finance. And they're all touching important points. The point I want to say is it growing? When? Okay.
Like where are we going? Where
Yeah.
we're going? In which direction?
Yeah, specifically.
Like as a company, there is some challenge that we need to address. First of all, it's like we are a finite number. Like there is so much that we can do just because effectively we are not 2 million people. So we have to prioritize, and like people like Fanny needs to sleep sometime. Otherwise. And on the other side, like I think as general as a movement, I think it's extremely important, this connection that right now seems to have like on 3 different levels. Interaction with governments and institutions, okay? So with like, will we will ever be only crypto dependent, or not so sure about that, okay? It's more about what the whole world, DeFi specifically, for example, what is trying to focus and which barriers which problem try to answer to. It's the level of access. One thing that is not popular knowledge, not common knowledge, and it's for people like working in finance like me, it's a bit, we tend to have at least a little bit of feeling about being human. It bothers me is really the fact that we have 1 billion people in the world that is unbanked. And there is almost 3 billion people who do not have access to sophisticated financial services. Now we live in Switzerland here, we're doing it, and it's easy to see. But if anyone comes from the, let's say, third world country, that's not necessarily true. And specifically unbanked people, I just wanted to address this and then we can move to something else, but unbanked people are people who do not have access to a bank service because the bank deem that the cost to bring a service to this person is higher than the return that I can generate with this person. So your value for the financial service is a number. If you're above this number with your income, with the money that you have, I bring you some service. Otherwise, I don't. So I don't see this challenge yet, as a crypto is a problem to the standard financial service. Yes, but crypto also give answer to people who have questions and they are not addressed by the normal financial service. And seems to me that the society as a whole is moving towards those global questions. Environment. I mean, if we think that we can solve environment only in Switzerland, only in Europe, or only in the US, that's clearly the answer is no. So that's what from my point of view, where we need to cross the border and bring down the barrier is really towards the mass adoption, but as a humanity needs to have access to financial services, not just because it's nice to have extra income, but we started the presentation with the smart contract with, I want to buy a house. If you don't have access to a bank, how do you buy a house?
It's complicated. All right, so we're running on time. Now this is a part where we're going to ask if any of you have any questions that we might be able to address. If anyone is, yeah, sure.
Okay, we're going to give the mic.
Yeah, we're going to get a mic.
Yeah, thank you. I was asking myself, I think SwissBorg works a lot on Ethereum, right? And I was asking, how does the limitation of Ethereum actually impact SwissBorg with the gas fees and everything?
Pagnini, do you want to take this one?
Sorry, but I didn't understand the question. Can you repeat?
The limit of Ethereum on the gas fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And why SwissBorg, we are started with on Ethereum.
Okay, sure. No, I mean, okay, I'll try to answer the question, but not sure that was your question. But what's good with SwissBorg is that we are connected with a lot of exchanges, and because we are a company, we are having high volume, and because we are high volume, we have low fee in general, because we can pull the volume of everyone instead of you. If you would go to the exchange yourself and do the exchange yourself, it would cost you a lot more, just because your volume would be much less. So it's just a question of scale. Not sure if that's your question.
Yeah.
Maybe to add a bit more on what Fanny said. So we started on Ethereum because at the time that was where DeFi started. Okay, and then but we are adding multiple chains as well. Now we had BNB as a token, and this is on a BSC chain. Now, as we were discussing, we were stressing this point, is bringing multi-chain offer to the public in an easy way. It's a huge challenge. We are going there, but there is the custodian level, the security level issues. So we need to solve those, and this is pure product problem, if you want. But we are going there. Just it's technology-wise a bit more complex than just adding an extra token on the same blockchain.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to say, like, there's a big difficulty is like if we just consider our app as you bring fiat and then you can buy crypto, it's very simple. But if we consider that you can also deposit crypto, then we need to consider that you already have something, and then we need to be able to give you the whole possibility of what is it you can deposit. And this means different networks, different format, a lot of things. And here we, like you say, is like we have the difference between all the capabilities that we can give you and make something simple. And if you don't know anything and you arrive and you say deposit crypto, and I say, give me which network, which format, which, and then you're like, I have no idea what you're talking to me. And so it's this that we need to solve.
Okay, any more questions from the crowd? Sure.
Yeah. Should I go with the
Yes.
mic?
We can hear also.
Or you can ask and we will rephrase. Never mind.
Okay, thank you very much for your time and presentation. As you may know, recently Mark Zuckerberg just announced a new vision of and the rename of Facebook towards the metaverse. I just wanted to see if you already have some insights on how this move will impact the crypto world.
Maybe he'll say that, but we have recently we had this poll in what crypto do you want us to bring next in SwissBorg? So we asked our whole community, because I say we like to be community-centric, and the one that was voted the most is actually Metaverse coin. So it's getting big and people are very interested in it. Don't know where it's going, but for sure there is some traction there.
Yeah, for like this one I can address it for, I think from the investment point of view. Definitely there's much hype in GameFi generally. It makes also, like, it's important to understand that, for example, DeFi is a very strange and unique place to be at the moment, because as a finance guy, like traditional finance is made 80% in capital, in volume, by professional institutions. Okay, this is how it works. DeFi is exactly the opposite. So is retails, so users, are the ones that make the market. For those of you who maybe like to do some tradings, maybe like this is extremely it makes sense. In this specific for metaverse, I think there is also like generally, like we have gone through the pandemic and we have been much more into the virtual space than usual, let's say. So I'm not so sure how was timed that that transition, given that experience. For sure, there will be more virtual reality, proper virtual reality, much more into our lives. So it can start with gamification, but potentially goes somewhere else. For example, like when the whole world was closed and there was no traveling, like essential services, like for example, doctors, they have to talk to each other. They were using some virtual space to meet each other and have discussion about what to do here, what to do there. So naturally, application developed around that. And that's important because it breaks down another barrier, which is has an impact to all those people who are not like socially handicapped people. Okay, if it's a problem to travel to that destination, if it's a problem for you to communicate, as everybody else is doing, then let's say an artificial word can help bring down this barrier as well. So that's on the good part. Of course, on the bad part is, okay, now it's a social question, how much we should go here and there. That's, I don't know, everybody has his own limit, I guess. But yeah, so there is definitely a huge hype on that just because it's Facebook, well, ex-Facebook, is Mark Zuckerberg, and because the market is retail. That means that whatever is the drag from high-profile people is much higher than if the market itself is just done by institutional who look at data or look at quantitative assessments. That's, I think, is my point of view.
So we have more
can you hear me?
questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your time. As you mentioned before, you said the government is putting quite some new laws, and that can be not really helpful for the development of SwissBorg and other crypto realm. My question was, Switzerland has a very big impact on financial systems worldwide. Nowadays, crypto, we know there is a crypto valley in Lucerne, right?
Zug.
No.
In Zug.
Zug, yeah. How is Switzerland positioning itself with the crypto world? Because I know Switzerland is quite keen to it because it's interesting, but there is also all the other financial institutions in Switzerland that can be impacted by this new market.
I think most governments don't want to just say no to crypto. Okay, maybe China or whatever, but they are not against. It's just that they want to protect themselves, which makes sense. And Switzerland, for example, what I know about regulations is that they don't want us to be both have crypto and have fiat, because in this case it's difficult to control. So they say, okay, you can be crypto, but you're not allowed to own fiat for more than 60 days, something like that. So they just want to be able to know what's going on, and that, okay, if you enter the crypto world, okay, we don't need to know everything about it, but you cannot own fiat there, because if you do, then we need to be able to know what's going on there. So it's just a question of, right now they're just trying to not limit what's happening, but at the same time follow their own rules and regulations.
Yeah, it's I think Switzerland has a special place in this space. First of all, let's take my point of view. Switzerland is the first decentralized government experience. Is a government who depends a lot on cantons, on communes, so on the level of detail that's very, very close to the single person. And it, like in the whole system, it works. So the government is already doing this for hundreds of years. It's not something that is new. And this is point number one. Point number two, like financial services here flourished since a while. And so like naturally there is a much more proximity to whatever tends to be an evolution of finance. Third is that as well, privacy is really a value for Swiss people. So when you put all things together, I don't think it's so weird that Switzerland was the crypto valley. Of course, technology, US, right? Like this is, well, China as well. But like we tend to associate whatever is the technology, innovation in technology happens in US. But this experiment in the government, in how you govern a nation, has been running along successfully, I would say, for quite a while. And it's not that different from what crypto and DeFi, specifically DeFi, is proposing. So that's why I think regulators here are much more an open mind about what DeFi is, what crypto is, and how to make it like standard, I would say. And by the way, like regulators, first of all, like regulators will never be first the innovation. Normal. Innovation first, regulation after. That's normal process, right? Second of all, like regulators, we work with regulators. They're not our enemy, they are our friends. Because we as well want to bring as much We want to bring that level of security and treat our users and our community in a way that makes them feel safe as much as possible. And be within the law is better than within outside of the law, even if the law does not exist. And we help, I think, as myself and everybody who is talking to the regulators in SwissBorg, as somebody who is helping the regulators shaping the legislation in a way that is going to help all of us, the whole system. And then in the mainstream news, of course, always the extreme of the cases came out. You have the scam, you have BitConnect, you have everything, but you have China. But nobody talks about this 80% of the work, which is, let's say, standard and normal, and is working in conjunction with the regulators, not against the regulators.
Just like Marco said, in Switzerland, there's this thing where anyone can bring ideas of what they want to do, and in crypto, it's very much similar. We just anyone can, anyone can have a voice and can be heard. And in SwissBorg, we want to also follow this type of systems, and that's why we have this called SwissBorg Nation, where people that have tokens can just propose what the idea and what they want, and then if a lot of people want them, we will make them go forward. So Switzerland is actually very close to what we're doing, but what crypto sphere is doing in general in terms of voting and systems to build a community.
Okay. Well, it seems that the Swiss political system inspired DeFi.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Yeah.
Yes, so first, thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting, and I'm glad to discover new companies in a field which I'm passionate about. So I'll try to keep my question simple. What bothers me with cryptocurrencies, and especially with the blockchain technology, is that we tend to focus more on the financial aspects and in the investment field. And I think that if we broaden our horizons and try to see more applications, for example, I saw, for instance, some projects to create more secured elections systems or to content management on the internet. So my question is, isn't investing in cryptocurrencies speculation and pure speculation? And for example, there's a huge problem which I think have to be resolved, is that, for example, if Elon Musk tweets about a token, it completely changes the course of the investments. So do you have any solutions with SwissBorg, and what's your point of view about investing in cryptocurrencies? Thanks.
Oh.
I'll just start and then you can go. The first thing is that there's a difference between what we call shitcoin and other coins. It's like some coins have no utility, and utility is what we said before we have in SwissBorg. Like if you have the coin, then you have this and this is this ability. So those coins, they can still. It doesn't mean that if you buy them, they are useless. They can still go up, but then in this case, it's definitely pure speculation. It's about, okay, if people talk about it, it will go up, that's it. When all the coins that are based on utility, normally if you buy the coin, it's because you believe in the utility. And like you say, right now, it's true that there's a lot of things about finance, but it's just because it's coins, and so it's easy to make the association. But there's other companies that definitely go towards this, and I believe it will broaden in the future. It's just a beginning. But it's difficult, like the Elon Musk thing, it's difficult to say that why, and it's just because people follow him and then say, oh, he said that, so everyone thinks this. But it's the same in finance. When we had coronavirus, everything went down. There was no reason. It's just people panicked. People panicking. The whole financial market is a very emotional machine, and you have to consider that people react in things, and it doesn't mean they make sense. It's just how it is.
Yeah, so first of all, like, whenever you have a free space, everything came out. Like, you can't expect, to only have one single idea, or not even one single, like, only good ideas coming in. Like, it's going to be good ideas and bad ideas. That's how it works. And secondly, like, I tend to agree with the fact that maybe, like, why would it's only seen as an investment and not like, or speculation, sorry, not an investment, because only as a speculation. Well, because that's what make the news. Sometimes where you are small and you need capital to do something. And you need to take that space, like you need to own the space, you need to be that big in order to achieve the next level, to build something. So I can have a very good example. Internet bubble exploded, like it was everyone was investing in the internet bubble on internet company. Sometimes behind those companies was just a name. There was no people, there was nothing. Now, out of those, of that, okay, now we have, well, Meta is not called Facebook anymore, but we have Google, Amazon, we have Apple, as of today, not the old Apple. Like the top 5 companies are companies that came out of that. But they needed this inflation of news hype, you know, it was necessary to build that. It's a human cycle, by the way, that like you can study, even if you study like different area, you'll see this pattern going on and on. Elon Musk, well, why it is like this, I think it's related to what we said before. 80% of the market in DeFi is retail, so you tend to follow whatever the richest person in the world is saying. And second is because yet, you can do that in crypto, but you cannot do that in traditional finance. You cannot speak and manipulate the price of a stock without having knowledge, or if you have knowledge, it's insider trading. So if clearly you have skin in the game, if you have assets. So there is a, let's say, it's also allowed today. It would be allowed tomorrow, not sure.
Yeah, and just one other thing is that not everything is made for finance. For example, very known example is NFT. Like the reason we created NFTs for art is because we want to reward someone that is creating digital art to have value. And it was purely just as a goal to give more power to people that are producing digital art. And now we're talking about it in a financial way, but that's just because it worked and it became hype, and like you say, that's what makes the news. It's, oh, some person gained a lot of money. But actually, at the beginning, this was not the goal, and the goal was just to be the utility to give power to artists. So, yeah, it's not because we're talking about it financial that it was the goal at the original.
Any last questions? Yeah.
Wait, more than one?
Hi. First, thanks for the presentation. It was very interesting. You talked earlier about shitcoins, made me remember something. There's this new application called Pi Network, cryptocurrency between quotation marks. I don't know if you guys heard about it. So it's an application where every single user can mine Pi coins, and they say that it would be monetized and it would have value when there would be 10 million users. So do you think that it will one day have value, or is it clearly a scam?
Ponzi scheme?
I don't know so much about it. I just heard that something like there's rules where you cannot sell, and so, yeah.
Yeah, there's no investment, there's no capital. It's just every single user that is mining, and it's just numbers.
I would just, I do not specifically know what you mentioned, but by what you're saying, I would say Ponzi.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think we have time for one last question, and then we will finish the presentation.
Thank you very much. What's your prospect about the price of SwissBorg in, for example, mid-2022, and how can you justify such a forecast? Because as I know, it's about 60 cents right now at the moment.
65.
Yeah. And what is your forecast for it?
giving forecast of your own company, it's extremely, let's say, difficult. And it's also dangerous, let's put it like this. What I can tell you is something a bit different, which actually have an impact on the price, which is the direction of the company. So the company is facing a huge growth, but the speed of which a company can grow and the speed of crypto are really two different acceleration, okay? So whenever you have a company that's trying to build up, to scale up, there is a minimum amount of time that's required to do that. And the price of SwissBorg token relates much more towards product-wise what we are doing, okay? So we had a huge very nice bull run when we started a new set of products. Now, the company is growing, but to sustain that growth, we need to structurize, we need to increase certain level of procedure, and everything is going to take a bit more time than what crypto is doing in sense of pricing range. So from our perspective, we are bullish on what we want to know, because what's the price, because we know what we are working on, we know what's the vision. We know what is our vision, and we have a long-term vision. So for us, is to really bring the level of service to our users, which is wealth management, so passive income.
So I think we're done with time. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you. This was SwissBorg that presented the thing, and we presented with the help of the Finance Association and the Investment Society. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are hiring if interested. Thank you.
Ah, ça fait mal à la tête.